Hey everybody, I'm Kristen Peterson with Common Sense Nutrition, and I just wanted to take a minute today to talk about the difference between whole grains and refined grains, and also talk a little bit about the difference between gluten and gluten-free. I think there's a big confusing area there, a big gray area. So I'm a visual person. I like to see things visually. So in front of me, I have a whole bunch of, I have grains and I have refined grains. So we have obvious things like brown rice, quinoa. These are grains in their whole grain form, and they're also gluten-free. I've also got some red quinoa, which I love. The flavor is just, it's a deeper, nuttier flavor, so it's a little more satisfying. And then things like black rice. Try different varieties of grains in their whole grain form. Cook them in advance, keep them in the refrigerator. You can either reheat them and toss in some sauteed vegetables with them, or put them cold on top of a salad or make a salad out of that. And this is also a wheat berry. This is, every once in a while I use a recipe like a soup or something that needs a wheat berry in there. We don't use that very often. The reason that we want to avoid gluten is just that it can cause inflammation in the digestive system, which stops us from absorbing the nutrients in the food. So as a culture in America, we just eat too much gluten. We don't need as much gluten as think about it, it's in everything. And we're such a grab a sandwich kind of society, or so much of our processed foods and the easy grab and go things are loaded with gluten. And our bodies just weren't designed to absorb that much gluten. So the difference between a whole grain and a refined grain is that we take the healthy part of this whole grain. So this is when we have brown rice, and it's brown because that's wrapped with the bran and the germ, and that holds in all of the vital nutrients that we're absorbing from this grain. So these grains have nutrients, essential nutrients that our bodies need. When we strip that out of the grain, we're left with this white fluffy flour. And this is the stuff that we use when we're making things like pasta and rolls. This happens to be a whole grain roll, but I want to touch on this for a second. There's no benefit to a whole grain, something made with whole grain. If it looks like this and it's made from this, it's been stripped of all of its vital nutrients. There's more fiber in whole wheat bread, which helps to keep the blood sugar a little more balanced than white bread, but it's not enough of a difference to make it or have it considered to be something healthy. Bread, pasta, whether it's regular wheat pasta or even a gluten-free pasta, these are refined grains that really don't do anything nutritionally. When we are digesting refined grains, our body sees refined grains the same way that it sees sugar. So all it does is it causes an elevation in our blood sugar, and what goes up must come down. So what happens when it comes down? We start craving more sugar, and we can even start craving things like caffeine and things that our brains instinctively know to go to help give you that quick pick-me-up. So avoiding refined grains in general as part of a healthy diet, whether they're gluten-free or not, is just good common sense guidance and suggestion right there. If you're going to eat pasta, bread, cake, anything made with flour, whether it's white flour or whole wheat flour, this should be the exception. This should be the every once in a while. So you have a piece of cake every once in a while. You have a sandwich every once in a while. But in general, get your grains in their whole grain form. Like quinoa, high in protein, will help keep the blood sugar balance, keep you fuller longer. When the way that these things are digested, there's so much more satiety in a grain in its whole grain form versus when it's refined. So hopefully I've helped clear up some confusion when it comes to gluten-free or not gluten-free and refined versus not refined. So hope that helped, and comment below if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer.